Yes, hello everybody. This is your daily Formula One news. I'm Tony Craig. This is F1 Grandstand, and boy, we have got a lot to get into. So Cadillac fire shots at Ford. Verstappen finally talks about his future, putting some rumours to bed. And he also talks on Helmut Marko's exit from the team. Red Bull CEO Oliver Mintzlaff heaps praise on Christian Horner. And I think we have the evidence as to why, and it's linked to Christian Horner's last punch at Mercedes. Audi's title sponsor are getting in the fights as well. They're attacking Ferrari over choice marketing decisions and return of a legend sponsor to Formula One. Lots to get into. But if you are brand new to the channel and if you're an F1 fan, then of course you're in the right place. Subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video if you enjoy it. And here's the really important bit. Because of the way YouTube works, there's something that I really need you to do. So then you're in control. If you go to our channel page and where you've hit subscribe, if you hit that button, you get 4 options, and you need to make sure the bell icon where it says bell all has a tick next to it. That way you get notified of all the content, and then you get to decide whether you watch it or don't watch it. And it makes a massive difference to the success of the channel. It's just because the way YouTube works, sometimes you can be subscribed to channels and you don't actually get to see whether there's new content or not. So it removes a choice away from you. So the best way to keep control of your choices, whether you watch or you don't watch, is make sure you hit the bell all icon behind the subscribe button. Please take the time to do that for us. It makes a huge difference. And thank you as always for all of your support. And if you're watching, by the way, on the shorts feed, jump onto the main feed for the full experience. I'm going to say a quick hello to chat. We've got Reevesy, Drop Tune, Gemma, Queen of the Chat is in there, Sema's in there, Up, nice to you up early over there in Australia. Crackite's in there as well, brilliant. Who else we got? I'm loving Reevesy's new handle. I think it suits you better, Mark. Reevesy is the way forward. I think it's good. Right, so loads of action on the channel today. Lots of you have been getting involved on the earlier video. Loads of comments, loads of discussion, loads of debate. Very, very pleasing to see. And that's what we want. Healthy debate, respectful debate. Speaking of debate, or should we say shots fired. Shots fired. Cadillac fire at Ford. Now, I love this because General Motors, who own Cadillac, and Ford, in other disciplines, they're racing each other on a weekly basis, right? And, you know, it's one of the biggest rivalries in NASCAR, sports car racing, but never in Formula One. So Dan Tauris, who's the CEO of Cadillac, the Cadillac project, he criticized Ford for a very minimal involvement with Red Bull as just a marketing deal. Just going, Ford, that's just a marketing deal. We're not really doing anything. And so Tauris said, it's not even close what we're doing. And this is what Tauris told The Athletic of GM and Ford's respective involvement. He said, one is a marketing deal with very minimal impact, while General Motors, Cadillac, is an equity owner in the Cadillac team. They're deeply embedded from an engineering standpoint, and they were involved from day one. These two deals couldn't be more different. Really poking the bear of Ford. I love this, though, because Cadillac-Ford rivalry is great for the sport. And so the global director of Ford Racing, which is a guy called Mark Rushbrook, he defended Ford. He said, people will have their opinions, but if they saw what was going on, if we were able to open the doors and show everything to them, I think they'd be convinced very quickly it's not simply a marketing program. Of course, there's an element that is marketing, but we're in there with our sleeves pulled up. We're doing it together with Red Bull, but it's still a massive challenge, just in terms of the technical challenge and the pace at which we need to move. And of course, what we're talking about is the Ford-Red Bull powertrain collaboration to build Red Bull and Racing Bull's power units for 2026. But don't you just love it? Don't you just love that it's already starting? Cadillac already poking the bear of Ford, going, we're engineers, you're just doing marketing, right? I mean, if anything's going to get Ford to to rattle that cage and to maybe become a works team, it's that kind of needling. If we remember Le Mans 66, it was Ferrari turning down Ford for the purchase of their team, that Ford went, all right, not going to let us buy you. Well, then we'll beat you. And, you know, Ford have got a big ego. So, yeah, I'm here for it. I wonder where this is going to end up. Because, you know, some of us may have forgotten about Ford. Ford have been a major player in Formula One. Now, Cadillac have never been in Formula One. So let me just remind you, the partnership with Cosworth, basically, the Ford Cosworth double 4-valve engine, won 150 Grand Prix. Okay, we've got to go back quite a few decades. Right? That started in 1967. But Ford are actually the third most successful engine manufacturer in F1 history. Now, they've got that on their CV. So Ford can always say, what are you talking about? We've been in this sport since 1967. We've won 150 Grand Prix. We were in Formula One up until 2004, where we were supplying engines for the Jaguar team. They didn't do particularly well. I don't think Jaguar finished higher than 7th in the constructors. But here's the interesting thing. Do you remember who bought Jaguar? It was Red Bull. The Red Bull Foundation, the Red Bull team, they purchased Jaguar in 2000, at the end of 2004 for the 2005 season. So isn't it funny that Ford's involvement ended with the sale of Jaguar to Red Bull, and now they're coming back into the sport for 2026 with basically the same team, right? But this time it's rebranded as Red Bull, right? I think that's quite interesting, full circles and all that. But yeah, I love this talk. I am here for it. I mean, Cadillac, I think they have all the ingredients to be a protagonist, don't they? Next year, new kids on the block. The thing is, what Ford also know is right now for 26, Cadillac are a team that are basically buying a lot of parts from Ferrari, just like Haas have done, because it's the quickest way to get on the team. They are engineering. I think they are doing the chassis and suspension, but engine and gearbox is Ferrari. So yeah, it's an interesting situation, and I do love a rivalry. It's great for the sport, and obviously two big American brands, General Motors and Ford, going at it. I think this type of antagonizing from Cadillac could push Ford, because Ford have got a ton of money, right? I mean, they have a ton of money. They could afford to run their own works Formula One team. I mean, they could. If they chose to, it could just, you know, poke that big bear of Ford. And actually, when we talk about that 12th team on the grid, why not Ford? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, why aren't Ford considering that? I mean, they're sort of dipping their toe in. Yes, there's some marketing. But, you know, when Ford get a bee in the bonnet that they want to beat. Well, we saw it in 66 with the Ford. The GT40 was on a hell of a bit of engineering with the help of Carroll Shelby. But yeah, I'm here for it. Drop Tune says, it's funny for sure and adds a bit of drama before anything has happened yet. It works in other forms of motorsport. Let's see how these comments pan out for Cadillac. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Kyle says, Cadillac is spending the money, but so is Ferrari, and it wasn't working out great for them. That's true. Kyle said it's only been a few years since General Motors had to be bailed out by the US. That is also true. But they're these like sort of monsters of companies where what do they call it? Too big to fail. An institution like General Motors will probably always have the backing, especially of a Trump government, I think. What have I missed? Gemma told me to scroll up. What have I missed? There's so many. It's hard to keep up unless it's a super chat. Almost over. Yeah, notifications. What am I missing? Gemma with a turkey bolognese. What have I missed, Gemma? You're gonna have to put it in again. I can't find it. Kyle says, I think Horner Toto may already be the first Real Housewives of Silverstone. God. Jaman says, with Ford being a powertrain partner, maybe they are probably the only team that could buy Racing Bulls. The GT40 was built by Lola. The GT40 was built by Lola. I thought the GT40 was built by Ford and then sort of re-engineered by Carroll Shelby. I think they basically stripped all the weight out of it, didn't they? And then pretty much re-engineered the Ford GT40. I think that's what happened in '66. But yeah, I love it. I'm here for it. And tonight's show, there's a lot of antagonists. Like I said, we're going to be talking in a little bit about. I mean, we've even got a title sponsor from Audi, like firing shots at Ferrari, and I love this. I want all this drama. I mean. It's a bit of a stretch when a title sponsor that's not even a works team's calling out Ferrari, but hey, we're going to get to that in a little while. We're also going to get to Max Verstappen talking about his future. And I think his comments were prompted by the story we were talking about, the headlines we brought earlier in this week, where about Ford again, actually saying that they're here, they are with Red Bull. They love having Max as a driver, but should Max leave, they're still committed to the team and they still believe they can bring a winning package with Red Bull. But yeah, I'm here for it. I love the fact that Cadillac's out there, CEO firing shots at Ford. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Right. So speaking of Max, we're going to get into that now. So as we know, so Max Verstappen addresses Red Bull future and Helmut Marko exit. Now, I think the reason why, like I said a moment ago, the reason why Max is speaking out now is because Ford spoke out earlier this week saying about their commitment to Red Bull. They love Max, even if Max is going to leave in 27. Ford are here to stay, and they believe in the driver program. They believe in the Red Bull team, and they still believe they can bring a winning package without Max. So Max Verstappen declared that as it stands, he is committed to seeing out his Red Bull contract, which runs till the end of 2028. He goes on to say, I'm 28 now, and I have a contract with Red Bull until 2028. I want to fulfill that contract. And that's what Verstappen declared to Swiss publication Blick. At this point in time, I am ruling out a change of team. Now, that's pretty definite language. Now, I know he said at this point in time, which is a bit like a disclaimer, but when we saw what happened last year with him, taking holidays with Toto Wolff on Toto's boat in the halftime break, the summer break, and the constant speculation and the revelations about his contract, that specific clause that said if Max Verstappen is out, if he's not third or above by the summer break, he's got a clause in his contract which allows him to leave early without any penalty. He's still got that clause in his contract. Red Bull are making noises that their power unit is not going to be as good as Mercedes because of Mercedes' little hack where they've managed to increase the compression ratio, which is probably worth about 0.3 of a second per lap. Red Bull say they're going to focus. They don't think they can do anything about that, but what they can focus on is an aggressive, intensive aerodynamics upgrade strategy from the beginning of the year, from the first Grand Prix in Melbourne, because that's how they think they're going to bridge that gap. So they're making noise that they think they're already behind, basically. Verstappen won't have liked that, but, he's making it quite clear. He's committed to the team. He's going to see out his contract. Will he change his mind if he's if Red Bull are down in 6th or 7th? I think his ego kicks in at this point. I don't know. I mean, I think he wants to give that solidarity to the team now while the team are working incredibly hard, while they're working with their partner Ford, and he wants to keep all that team motivated. So it's shrewd to make the statement. The real question is it rock solid? Is it rock solid that he's going to be there till the end of his contract in 28? I would say you have to take it with a degree of skepticism because Max is ruthless and he wants to win. And it just depends how far behind the curve they are, I think. And then he was asked about Helmut Marko not being by his side for 2026. He didn't say a lot, but he said this. It's a shame that my friend and mentor, Helmut Marko, won't be by my side in 2026. I will miss him. And you got to remember, Max Verstappen did stand up for Marko at a point when there was the Christian Horner, Helmut Marko fallout. He basically said that if you get rid of Marko, you'll be getting rid of me, which was very strong words. He does have a strong relationship with Marko. He obviously still has a strong relationship with Helmut Marko. But there were some changes, really, I think, even to Max's attitude at the end of 25. And I think some of Marko's comments, which was a bit like your elder sort of, let's say your grandfather who's from a different generation, some of the things he said publicly, which might not have been politically correct enough for the brand Red Bull, for sure. Some of his mistakes, some of his power grab, where he was offering contracts out, even to Alex Dunn, when Alex Dunn then resigned from McLaren, thinking he was joining the Red Bull family, got a contract presented to him, signed the contract, and then the higher-ups at Red Bull said, no, we don't want Alex Dunn in a reserve driver role, because we've got a testing previous car program where Honda need to support that program, and we need to give Yuki a spot. So it costs them, rumours are, hundreds of thousands to not honour the contract with Alex Dunn, and that was a Helmut Marko issue, because Helmut Marko always thought he had carte blanche with driver selection. So all of those things, I think even Max was like, look, I love Helmut Marko. I'm going to miss him. But am I going to put my cock on the chopping block for him at this point? Probably not. Probably not. And I think that's how that relationship changed. So, yeah, Max Verstappen putting his marker down, making the team. And it's clever. You want the team to work hard for you, right? So I think it's a wise move. I just don't think it's 100% ironclad that Max is there fulfilling his contract to 2028. Do I think it's the right message for the team right now? Yes, I do. The timing seems right. The timing seems right. I'm going to go to the chat and see what you think. Olin says, Max, see more penalties. He says, Red Bull do start behind in relation to top teams. Max may lose influence in FIA without Marko. That's an interesting point. As Max loses more allies, does that mean that some of the, I'm going to say, preferential treatment he may have had over the years? Because you've got to remember, it's not just Helmut Marko. Christian Horner fought tooth and nail for Max on every decision, everything that's contentious. Horner brought the whole weight of him and the team behind Max all the time. Max may have took all that for granted. Marko, Horner, bringing, their disagreements, the decisions, their challenges constantly, and Horner was, he was like a lawyer. He'd come in with data to sort of support, contentious decisions against Max. And now he's lost that, because I don't think Lauren McKees is that type of team principal. I just don't think he is going to fight tooth and nail on contentious decisions for Max Verstappen. I just don't think he hasn't got it in him. Horner was a bit of an arsehole, really. You didn't want to really compete with him, because he would try anything to gain an advantage. And sometimes he'd get the advantage. Sometimes he'd get the decision through his appeals. Sometimes he wouldn't. But he would fight for every single inch. I mean, that's probably what made him a good team principal. He would fight for every team inch. It's a shame he only really did it for Max, and he sort of sacrificed his number 2 drivers for Max. But Max probably didn't even realise just the support he had from Marko and Horner. And it's a good point, that all in. Will that affect his season in 26? Maybe. Maybe. I'm on live chat thing, not top comments. Yeah, I'm on live chat now. So the problem is now I'm on live chat. It scrolls so It scrolls so fast. It's hard to keep up. So Carl says, yeah, Gemma, Tony needs a producer. Yeah, I do. I could do with some moderators. Reevesy, Max may leave to concentrate on his GT race team. Good point. I'm coming to that. I'm actually coming to that. So this is the next bit I was going to talk about with Max Verstappen. So he also got asked, will he still be racing in Formula One at 40 years old? A club that's obviously currently populated by Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. And he said, absolutely not. You can bet on it. There's no way I'm going to be racing at 40. At 40, I might still be standing in the pits as team principal or in another series. That's quite bold. You know, Verstappen's thinking, Verstappen doesn't, you know what's funny? Verstappen loves racing, but he's not that, I don't think he's that bothered about being at the pinnacle of motorsport and in Formula One. I think he'd race washing machines if he thought it was fun. Verstappen competed in multiple GT3 events at the Nürburgring last year, we know. He got his ring license out of a potential 2026 Nürburgring 24 hours run. And he said, I enjoy adventures like that because at some point, Formula One will no longer be an option for me, but other races will be. Even Moto GP can get me excited. So he's cut from a different cloth, Max. Some drivers, being in Formula One is the be-all and end-all. If they can't race Formula One, then, forget about it. But Max just wants to, he knows that there's other areas that he loves about motorsport. He likes owning his own race team. He likes being a team principal. He likes racing. He loves sim racing. And I think that's one of the reasons why Max is so good. And we should talk about that because sim racing is such a huge part of the modern driver. And I think when we look Hamilton and Leclerc is a brilliant sim racer. Hamilton avoids racing in the sim as much as possible. But if you want to be ready for the first Grand Prix in Australia in 2026 of a brand new regulation cycle, your best bet is to live in the freaking simulator. I mean, that's your best bet of getting ahead of the game. You got to do your homework, right? And there's a limited amount of testing. So the only way you do your homework is getting the sim racing. It helps if you love your homework. And Max Verstappen's that guy. Racing in the sims isn't like homework for him. It's not like doing a job. He does it for shits and giggles. He does it because he likes it. And he'll race in sims in all sorts of disciplines. GT3, Le Mans, F1, F2. He'll race anything. He likes to race. And, and don't forget, F1 Grandstand sim racing coming very soon. Get your sims ready because you're going to be part of our exclusive league. It's going to be very good fun. So don't forget, we are going to be launching sim racing very, very soon. So yeah, it's an interesting one for Max. He's cut from a different cloth. He's not going to be racing into his 40s. He is going to be racing other disciplines. And yeah, he wants to get into management. Max is the modern day Ken Miles. That's what Thane says. Now, Ken Miles, what a guy he was. It's a different sort of mentality, isn't it? And I think you're right. I think Max does have that kind of personality. Looking for the perfect lap. Racing's racing. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. Reevy says, like Lewis backing his dad up in the new race series. Exactly. You see, that's the thing. Lewis... 100% keep it in the family. If Lewis feels that 26 is his last year and he wants out and 7 world championships is enough, and to be honest, it isn't. It should be enough. It's a hell of an achievement. He's changed the sport. And then to go into what Anthony Hamilton describes as the purest form of racing, that's what he's trying to create with his V8/V10 series of open-seater racing, where drivers from other disciplines can race each other in special races. So you can get the best, WEC races, the best GT3 races, World Rally Championship races. I mean, who's the best driver of all, right? And they're all competing in what could be described as stock cars, but obviously different team owners where there is an element of variability that they can introduce to those cars, but ultimately a stock type of racing. I think Hamilton does support that series because, listen, owning a team's great, but owning the game, right? Owning the series, that's completely different. So yeah, it was the right time for Matt to speak out. That's what I think. And again, yeah, I mean, like you say, you know, it was because of the earlier headlines. I think the timing came from because Ford spoke out earlier this week when they were talking about their commitment. And I think that's what prompted Max to speak out today. But guess who else has been speaking out? Oliver Minslav. Now, this is, I would say, quite unexpected, and it's tied into Christian Horner's final punch before he left Red Bull at Mercedes. So Red Bull boss Oliver Minslav hails Christian Horner as the Ford engine era kicks off. Okay, let's get into it. So what's this all about? So Red Bull boss Oliver Minslav says Christian Horner deserves credit for finding the right people to work at the team's new engine division. Now remember, that division went from 0 to over 500 employees, and that all happened under Christian Horner. Now, so what Minslav is saying, just a little background. So obviously Horner led Red Bull to 6 constructors titles, 8 drivers titles, and it was actually Horner who influenced Red Bull to go their own way, to produce their own engines with a partner, with Ford. And Minslav, the chief executive of new investments and corporate projects at Red Bull, has acknowledged Horner's role in gearing Red Bull powertrains for success by bringing a lot of good people on board. And Minslav told Dutch publication De Telegraaf, "For us, it will be particularly interesting to see how we fare with our own engine. I remember team founder Dietrich Mateschitz telling me a few years ago that we were going to build our own engine. And I thought to myself, what the fuck? What does that mean?" And then I heard how much it was going to cost. But it was a big dream, and credit to Christian Horner for finding the right people for that department. Now, I just hope that we can all make Dietrich's big dream come true, that we will win again in the new era and write new success stories. I think this is going to be a great story with our 2 teams, 2 young drivers in the talent team, Racing Bulls and Isaac Hadjar getting a chance alongside Max. This suits Red Bull. We find the best talent for the best positions. I think we've done pretty well over the last 21 years. Okay, so finding the big talent. Hold that thought. And I'm going to go back to what Horner's comments were about the engine division. He said, by far the biggest challenge that we've taken on in Formula One. And Minslav argued there's no reason for Red Bull to enter the new season with trepidation. He was asked if Red Bull finds itself 6th or 7th in the 26-seat pecking order. He replied, "No one knows. Maybe we'll be 2nd or 3rd. I know we have some extremely talented people working for us, and it's not just about the engine, but also the chassis. Christian Horner has also brought in a lot of good people on board in recent years. Just look at the engine department. There will always be staff leaving when a competitor makes a good offer, but I also think that many people see that there is a different atmosphere here now, and that they see Red Bull is a winning, cool team that gives the talent the opportunity to develop themselves." Now, we're talking about talent. Now, okay, thank you for all that praise on Horner. I think it's deserved. But this is also tied in to this headline, right? So this is all tied in to Christian Horner delivered one final painful blow to Mercedes before leaving Red Bull. And do you know what that was? And it's all tied in together. That blow was that Horner signed 212 Mercedes engineers to Red Bull, and that was a majority of those went to the Red Bull powertrains division. And this was a report from De Limburger, notes that Horner was pivotal in attracting top talent to Red Bull to their engine department. By mid-2024, 550 mechanics and engineers were on the team's payroll. So over 500 employees at Red Bull powertrains. It was Horner that took the initiative that said, hey, let's push the button on this. Honda are leaving. Let's make our own powertrain. And then he went and stole or enticed 212 Mercedes engineers. Why Mercedes? Because Mercedes build great power units, and Horner was a victim in 2014 of Mercedes' brilliant engineering, where they were able to dominate the sport for 7 years because of those power units. So Horner went, hey, we're going to build our own engine department and build our own engines. He's literally got half of his workforce from Mercedes. So no wonder Oliver Minslav is giving credit where it's due, because now the fruit of all of that hard work is the Red Bull Ford powertrain engine, which we're going to see at the end of this month. So it's right. I think it's absolutely right that Oliver Minslav praises Horner for that massive contribution. It's a huge contribution to the team. Because you got to remember, as team principal or CEO of Red Bull Racing, as he was at the time, you know, he's not an engineer. But it comes back to the argument that if you are running a major, you know, Red Bull Racing, which is multiple teams effectively, and a power unit production line, and building that company, well, then you need to be able to play the orchestra. It doesn't matter that Horner wasn't an engineer. It just shows how good he was at putting the orchestra together. And I think that is really a vital skill that Horner has. And I know everyone's saying this debate between, should your team principal be an engineer or should your team principal be a man manager like Toto Wolff, like Ron Dennis, you know, like Christian Horner. You know, there's a place for these characters that can still run teams and win. And even though we're in a new era of engineers becoming team principals, like, I mean, James Voles is doing a good job, but I don't think you should ever underestimate the power of a man who can motivate, inspire a team of experts, and you can play that orchestra to create a beautiful tune. Because if you are so engineering focused, you may not be good at the other parts, right? So I don't know. I think it's, yeah, Drop Tune said, to be fair, Ron was a pretty good engineer too. But Frank Williams, again, you know, he had an interesting management style and he was obviously an engineer. But I'm just saying, I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I think Horner still does a job in Formula One. I'm going to come to the chat. So Thane says, question, how much would it hurt Hamilton if Alonso wins the World Driver Championship this year and they both retire? Alonso fulfilling Hamilton's dream. 100%. I mean, God, what was it? 2009? Hamilton, Alonso in McLaren, or was it 2007? I can't remember my years at the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, their rivalry goes back to being teammates, and Hamilton's rookie year, where he literally really should have won the World Drivers title. I think if it wasn't for Ron Dennis trying to manage that situation where he was holding Hamilton back in qualifying to, you know, there was all sorts, 2007 Drop Tune, thank you, all sorts of a mess where really, I think they did put the brakes on Hamilton that year to try and help Fernando Alonso win the title. And then what happens? Kimi Räikkönen takes it from both of them in the Ferrari. So yeah, look, their rivalry runs deep. Would it hurt Hamilton if it was Alonso that won the title? Yeah. Hell yeah. It'd be well pissed, I think. I think he'd be very, very annoyed. Sema says, I can't do the sim racing, I have no internet, but have to move house again soon. Yeah, Sema, move. You need to get some fast internet and get on it. Arifi says, yeah, possible Alonso could win. 100%. Adrian Newey rocket ship. Alonso, I mean, I fancy Alonso over Lance Stroll, you know, in the team. Oh, well, that Crack Eyes put a good question. Would Hamilton retire if Alonso won another World Drivers' Championship? I think the question is, I think if I'm Hamilton, if I'm not competing with my teammate, I think that is the bottom line. If I'm getting beat sort of out, if Leclerc beats Hamilton in 20 races and Hamilton wins 4, I think at that point, if I'm Hamilton, regardless of what the other teams are doing, if I'm that far behind my teammate, I think I've got to consider, in equal cars, I think I've got to consider that it's maybe my time. Sema, Alonso, Melbourne, P1. Yeah, and Lance Stroll, P3. That's what I think. Drop Tune says, Horner takes over Alpine, ditch Merc engines, and take Red Bull Ford. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Horner became a customer team for Red Bull Ford power units? Stranger things have happened. I mean, I think, and now it's making more sense though, why Toto Wolff would be even more pissed off about Horner taking over Alpine and then Mercedes supplying engines to Horner, when it was Horner that raided Mercedes engine department and took 212 employees over to Red Bull Powertrain. I mean, that's got a sting from Toto Wolff's point of view. That's a stinger. It's like, you tried to ruin our engine department and now you want us to give you engines, and we have to because we're under contract. Yeah, I reckon that's going to create a bad taste in Toto Wolff's mouth. That's what I think. Reevesy says Horner, very good, productive man. Well, you can't say that Horner isn't a grafter. I think he works hard. I think he works really hard. So yeah, Horner worked his rear off to make Red Bull a totally independent team like Ferrari and Mercedes. He will always try to reconstruct the same team in the future. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would be his plan, right? If he gets hold of Alpine, and then takes them back to being competitive, with the Mercedes engine. Who knows what he thinks about in the future, whether it's what future partnerships from the power units, this side of things, how much investment he gets into the team. Is there an opportunity for them to even create their own power units? I mean, who knows? Horner obviously had ambitions of doing that at Red Bull, but when you think about it, they were a customer team for 20 years before they launched, or they decided to do their own power unit. So would Horner be in a big rush at Alpine to develop their own power unit? I don't think so. I think customer team probably would be the way for him for next 5-10 years. So yeah, but I just thought that was a fascinating timing. Okay, next story. This I find is a bit wacky. So Audi's F1 title sponsor issues criticism over Ferrari's livery. Now, what's going on here? Okay, so let's get into it. So, as you know, Audi's title sponsor is Revolut, and their chief marketing officer, Antoine Linnell, voiced his disapproval of Ferrari's design, outwardly saying the HP blue logo against Ferrari's famous red livery is disgusting. Right? Your livery's awful, Ferrari. What are you thinking? One of your title sponsors, and you just whack it on the car, it looks like a sticker. Terrible. And this is what Revolut's CMO says. The brand identity is very important. Revolut, we are very committed to design. We're very committed to the user experience and so on, and it needs to fit in with it. No offense. As soon as someone says no offense, it's going to be freaking offensive. No offense, but I think what HP and Ferrari have done to their cars is not good from a design perspective. How can you put blue on a red car? This is not good. I'd say big kudos to MasterCard and McLaren. I think their branding is great. Chrome as well, as in Google Chrome, what they've done with the wheel and so on. I think they are brands that are doing a really good job and works really well. Then when I look at the Audi and Revolut brand identity, it feels like a very natural fit. So that's the first element. The narrative is super important. We at Revolut are here to disrupt banking and to win against incumbents, and Audi is this. Audi is amazing from that perspective because they are entering a sport that is arguably the hardest sport on the planet at the moment. They come from zero and they're building the car themselves, and then they go into this Cadillac. It's not like Cadillac, who is buying the whole car and so on. Audi's building everything, the whole chassis, the whole engine, the gearbox, the power unit, everything is made by them. It's exactly like Revolut. We build everything ourselves. We go from ground up and we build up. That's exactly what Audi is doing. The alignment was supernatural for us. The important part as well is talking with the team, with Audi. The stars were aligned. We were working towards the same goal, and it felt like such a natural sponsorship. So my real question is, when the hell did sponsors start hitting out at race team? I think this is brilliant though. I mean, they're just trying to push buttons as well. Revolut, title sponsor, you're in banking, mate. for a start. And I appreciate you are a disruptor in banking. Brilliant. No problem. But you paid to put your name on the car, right? And I just think it's funny that you then have a... So not only you're punching at Ferrari going, oh, terrible. HP, that deal's awful. HP looks terrible. And do you know what? They're not wrong. The HP logo on the Ferrari does look awful. The way they just... It looks like I've copy and pasted it and just stuck it on the car. There's no design integration. I agree. It looks shit. And there's been a lot of chat about livery, about 2026, because even the FIA have said, look, we want more colour on the car. We want the liveries to be better. At least 50% of the car, when you look at it from above or from the side, needs to be paint or graphic, or colour. And I agree, you know, I like the livery conversation's important. And Red Bull, by the way, launching their livery tonight in Detroit. It's going to be 3 a.m. in the UK, but they are launching their livery tonight. They did a sneak peek where you saw a tiny bit of the front wing, not even worth posting a picture. You could see Ford blue, I think, in there. I think it's going to look like a Ford blue base colour with Red Bull over the top, which is what we suspected. But that's 3 a.m. tonight. We'll have the pictures for you tomorrow when I get up. But yeah, it's I do like the fact that all these shots are getting fired from different teams, and even if title sponsors are getting involved, slagging off other teams, and then a little dig at Cadillac within the same article to say Cadillac don't even build their own car. You know, they're a customer team. Like Audi, they're building everything from the ground up: gearbox, power unit, chassis. Cadillac are buying everything in, so they're even having a dig at Cadillac, which has got nothing to do with branding at all, just having a dig at how Cadillac are operating. I thought it was quite funny. Like, I like it. It's all happening. You got Ford, Cadillac, you got Audi / Revolut throwing punches. I want all these punches to happen. It's drama. It's good for the sport. Let's get at it. Drop Tune says, whatever happens, F1 needs Horner back in it. Personally, I'm not a fan, but he certainly makes things happen. I agree. Whether you like Horner personally or not isn't the point. He's good for the sport. Having that, he brings drama, and yeah, he knows how to win. He's good for the sport. And Sema says, yeah, the HP logo looks horrible. I agree. It does look awful. I am in agreement with what the CMO over at Revolut said. I agree. So out of context, yeah, it looks terrible. Drop Tune says, it may well look a bit rubbish, but it stands out and is very noticeable on the Ferrari. But that's the point. Who cares what it looks like if it's quick? Well, I want my cars to look good, because I got really excited in last night's show when I showed you the Cadillac livery for the Barcelona test. I thought it was brilliant. The monochrome livery with the monochrome Cadillac logo tailing off on the rear quarter, all of the names of the founding members of the team in, you know, on the car. I just thought it was brilliant. And I do get excited about a nice livery. I do. I actually do. But yeah, being fast, if it was a choice of having a terrible livery and being quick, I'd choose quick, obviously. But I do like a good livery. My favourite livery of all time, just for record, is Lotus, the 97, what was it, 97T, the golden black. Mario Andretti's winning car, the same colours that Senna drove in his second season in Formula One. Oh, gorgeous. Plus, yeah, and that Reevesy says, plus how much HP has put into Ferrari, it stands out for that reason. Well, you know, I guess if you are ploughing that much money into Ferrari, you say, no, I don't want you to play with my logo. That's the logo. I suppose you do get the choice. McLaren looks awful in my opinion, but it's a world champion. Yeah. Crackett says, agree, it looks pants, but the amount of publicity it gets is unreal. You see, this is the point, because we're talking about fashion over function, aren't we? If the function is for it to stand out, get seen on the telly, it does do that, but fashionably, it's freaking awful. Drop Tune said the Caddy Test livery is cool. I agree. JPS, exactly, Drop Tune. The John Player Special livery is the one for me. Sam Sparrow is a big fan of black and gold too. Who's Sam Sparrow? Am I not down with the kids? Who's Sam Sparrow? Gemma. Oh, he's a song. I've just Googled him. A songwriter. It looks like Freddie Mercury. You see, I'm not down with the kids. That's bad, isn't it? You're putting in a reference into the chat. A modern day popular culture reference. Mention a guy called Sam Sparrow. I've never heard of him. I had to Google him, and he looks like Freddie Mercury. Oh, he wrote a song, Black and Gold. Over my head, Gemma, queen of the chat. I'm over my head. Yeah, but there you go. Black and Gold livery to one for me. So yeah, but I just like the fact that all of this is hotting up, and that's the big thing I'm taking away from today's news, is that with all these shots getting fired from all different directions, I just feel like the excitement for the new season is finally it's building, isn't it? Coming up to that test, which is only on the 26th of this month, and then we go into Bahrain, and then baby, it's Australia, and we really get to see what's happening. So yeah, I just think that all of this drama, Cadillac Ford looking like they're starting something, yeah, I'm here for it. All of the tension that's coming because of the protests that are being planned in Melbourne, which is literally every other team than the Mercedes and Mercedes customer teams for their power units look like protests are imminent. Drama's coming, and we are going to cover every single inch of it here at F1 Grandstand. Kyle says, no one gets as much publicity as Red Bull. Max never wears anything else. That's true. Kyle says Max must save a fortune and clothes compared to Norris and Lewis. Yeah, I only ever see Max in his official Red Bull outfit. I never see him in anything else. When Max wears something else, he doesn't look like Max. Drop Tune said, I actually haven't been as excited for a new season for a long time. Me too. Because it's a chance for things to change, right? It's a chance where we get to see Aston Martin, Adrian Newey bring a rocket ship. It's a chance where we get to see just what, Vols can do at Williams, and see if he can bring, a more competitive package. Even Alpine. I mean, look, I'm not backing Alpine, if I'm honest. They've got a good engine, I'm sure, with Mercedes. But unless Alpine get a change of leadership, unless Horner gets control of that team, their facilities need upgrading. They haven't got the best in class of aerodynamicists, engineers. They need wholesale change. Do I believe that team have put together some wonder package around the Mercedes power unit for 26? Listen, I'll be super surprised if they have. I might be wrong. Pierre Gasly's pretty excited about what they've been doing. They've been working on it longer than anybody else, I think, apart from Adrian Newey, actually. He was working on that 26 car from last March. So I don't know. I'm not totally. I don't know. But it is a time. It's an opportunity for things to change. We could see a reorder, a reorder of the pecking order, and I think that's exciting for 26. So yeah, I am super excited. Reeves is like me. He said, I thought Sam Sparrow was from the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what I thought as well. That's what I thought at first. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, it's all hot. Oh, one final story for the night. Sorry, I forgot about this one. It's just a little bit of fluff for the end of the show. Audi bring back former legendary sponsor to the grid. They sponsored Benetton. They sponsored McLaren. Can you name that sponsor? The best a man can get. That's your clue. Yeah, Gillette. Gillette are back, baby. Gillette are coming back to Formula One as part of a multi-year sponsorship deal with Audi. The logos will appear on the Audi car and other assets, and the partnership will help create bespoke products. So you will see Audi Gillette products available in all good stores. And this is what the CMO, Audi CMO Stefano Batterson said. Gillette is one of the most iconic brands in the history of sports marketing, with a legacy built on authentic connections with fans worldwide. Gillette's highest profile involvement in F1 came with Benetton in the late 1990s. In 1997, had its logos featuring on the rear end plate of the B197, the Benetton car. And that year, famously, Gerhard Berger took a famous win at the German Grand Prix. So there you go. Gillette, if you love a bit of sponsorship, it's been a lot of, it's all been a lot of sponsors talk tonight. But, It's a bit of a nostalgia for people who remember Benetton back in the 90s. Gillette are back, baby. Half the field isn't old enough to shave. That's what Kyle said. Thane says, well, I'm shocked he didn't talk about Horner for 30 minutes this time. I was about to start calling him Spice Tony. Yeah, I didn't go on. Listen, I didn't do 30 minutes on Horner. And look, I am excited about the Horner stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to listen. I don't make the news. We just react to the news, and this is today's news. This is what's making it into the F1 press. Gillette, baby, is newsworthy. Back on the grid with Audi. Yeah. So we can all go and enjoy Gillette Audi products in 2026. So yeah, but big brand, and it does remind me of those good old days back at Benetton. They won the world title in 1996, didn't they? So, you know, Flavio Briatore days when Benetton. Now, if you can remember this, Benetton, Flavio Briatore and his boat. He used to have like supermodels. The parties on the Benetton boat were the parties of. Don't forget, this is way before Red Bull and any of the new teams on the grid. And the Flavio Briatore days, it was literally wall-to-wall supermodels on Flavio Briatore's boat. Oh, Thane's got a question. What is it? Let me just. What is it, Thane? I can't find it. Thane's question. Where is it, Thane? Oh, no, I've done that. How much will it hurt Hamilton if Alonso wins the World Drivers' Championship? I've done that question. You weren't listening. I said it'll piss Hamilton right off. I did a good few minutes on the answer to that question, Thane. What were you doing? Were you making a cup of tea? You missed it. I answered it. But yeah, that would piss Hamilton right off. We talked about it going back to 2007. Their rivalry goes back to Hamilton's rookie year, doesn't it? That is, yeah, it's gonna piss him off. Drop Tune says, let's hope their logo is looking good on the Audi. That's it. And remember, Gillette, the best a man can get. And we'd love Gillette as a sponsor on this show. So if anyone knows Gillette, if you want to chuck us a few quid, maybe you could be a title sponsor of F1 Grandstand and I'll do you a theme tune. And on that bombshell, I'm going to say goodnight. Thanks so much to all of you getting involved in the chat. Great show tonight. A lot of fun. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure the subscribe button, you've got the bell all item ticked. It's so important. That way you get to choose which content you watch and don't watch. And if you watch on replay, get in the comment section. You can still have your say and we can discuss it through that as well. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, 7:30 GMT. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ta.